my childhood, I grew up in it. I've been there for 50 years.
For my mother, Rachel Maney, her inability to care for her inherited home is both a product of declining physical and cognitive ability and lack of cash resources due to substantially low resource limitations imposed by SSI led to her moving into low-income housing in September 2020. Unbeknownst to her, the home became an asset, and with little understanding of the situation, she was subjected to a termination of benefits and an overpayment of $20,000 she was expected to pay back.
Hi. About 3 years ago, they cut off my check because I didn't report to move, which I never met the person who made the decision. I lost my home in 2020 for roof leaking, doors broken, windows broken and collapsed, and everything broken.
It is my belief that an updated asset limitation policy would have saved the home and maintained it in her possession to this day. Why? The current asset limits are a mere fraction of their previous value. In 1972, an individual or couple may be able to save enough money to place a down payment on a home, withstand an emergency, purchase a car, or improve quality of life through home improvements. Why? The same limitation existed in 1972 as today. $2,000 for a single individual, $3,000 for a couple. What does that mean? If the limits was matched to inflation today, $10,000 for an individual and $15,000 for a couple would be the limitation to this day. That would have meant that in the past she could have saved to purchase needed repairs, to maintain the home, to fix leaks, to do the things necessary that would have maintained it in her possession without having to leave the property, which resulted in an overpayment and the selling of her childhood home and my childhood home.
The team administration have no right to take my home. The evil state workers took my home, they took my money. I'm both fine. Because roof is leaking, door broken, window broken, collapsed. I get cold in winter, and I got no money to fix the place. I want to save the house, but I didn't have the money to fix it.
Why didn't you have the money?
So what?
Why didn't you have the money?
Why? My income was low. I didn't have nothing.
How much did you have a month?
Huh?
How much did you have a month?
$900 and something before they cut off.
I don't know how to make this video. I really don't. I'm retelling a story and I'm getting, you know what? Here it is. The Social Security Administration and other agencies that proclaim that they serve people who are poor, who need help, who need the assistance the most, can become so unbearably cruel for one specific reason. And I don't know if it's intentional. I'm sure there's many people who would argue that it is. But I myself don't know if it's intentional, if they intentionally want bad things to happen to their clientele. But these government organizations, I'm going to include Human Services, Children's Services, Social Security Administration, these three-letter agencies that propose to serve people, citizens, American citizens, they end up with a cruel bureaucracy. Whether unintentional or not, that bureaucracy always takes precedent over individual circumstance. That's the way of life, I guess. I get it. There's 330-something million people in the United States. If you want efficiency, if you want things to work and run smoothly, you need rules, you need policy, you need procedure. But there's almost no consideration for the individual. It's always the rules. The case managers, they're not individual decision makers. Don't ever get fooled by that. They are algorithms. They're just algorithms. You could put a computer in their place, because all that happens is these individuals follow rules, policies, and procedures and make decisions based on what a checklist says. If A, do B. If B, do C. That's all they are. And in that, they have their own contingencies. They have their own purposes. Someone wrote those policies, procedures for their own reasons, and you can argue about the motivations and such behind those reasons. We can look at systemic oppression. We can look at, all of these things. Well, and you would think that if it's just rules, policies, procedures, that we can fix it, right? We can fix some of these rules, policies, and procedures that make life awful for particularly Social Security recipients, SSI recipients, whose asset limitation today is $2,000. After all this inflation, they get COLA increases, but no, they can't save more than $2,000. What do you do for an emergency? Oh, you're on disability. You probably also have medical needs. How do you save for emergencies, medical emergencies, and such? You can't. It's not possible. Your car breaks down. Good luck. Hope you have supports. These are just rules, policies, and procedures, right? Should they not be able to be fixed quickly with legislation? I'm sure that's possible. But I am not convinced anyone has the motivation to do it currently. And that's what hurts the most, especially with our experience. Now, our experience with the Social Security Administration was a lot of these things, a lot of these abhorrent policies and procedures. First, she lived in that house for her whole life. She was inherited the home. Of course, she maintained disability, not a lot of money, but it was enough to get by until the house got old. Had roof damage, but she couldn't repair, so leaking roofs are not good for floors and walls and ceilings. She had water leaks that she couldn't afford a plumber for because my dad passed away and he did most of the work. Insulation issues with heating, there was holes in the walls. It was bad. There was a lot of damage, then invasion of rodents and such. It was not a healthy home to live in. So, as such, I believed it best that she moved into government housing. Unfortunately, that only... When we tried to transfer the home in my name, because I was her caretaker at the time, and I wanted to save it, I wanted to get through school, save it, I was ready to go to graduate school, I was accepted in a good program that I wanted to do. We were told that we couldn't do that, and that would include a transfer penalty, and because she had moved, she needed to sell the home because it was an asset. Well, we did that. We sold the home, and that has its own traumas in of itself. That was our family home. Those are memories that are gone, and I never got to grieve, and it happened so quickly. And I still feel that to this day. I feel that. And it's caused its own mental health issues. And the mistake they made right after made this so much worse. When we sold the home and presented receipts to the Social Security Administration, they made a mistake in an interpretation of the deed, resulting in the transfer penalty anyway. A mistake, mind you. We did everything right. They made a mistake that it would take a year to solve because they wouldn't talk to us. So, well, she was told to sell the home and spend the money down, improve her quality of life, do all these things to improve your quality of life. Spin downs are something that people do on SSI who need, they get some sort of maybe a life insurance or something happens, they get extra money, and the Social Security Administration says, oh, okay, that's over your asset limitation, but we will allow you to spend this money to improve your life, show us the receipts. You know, it could be something like buying another car, buying property that is your home, medical stuff, things that you need and would help you for years to come. Well, we did that. That mistake meant we had to sell the stuff that we bought. So, what was the point? What was the point? There was none. There was none. Now there's some other stuff here. She had moved and didn't report her address change. This is why we suddenly learned that we had to sell it. And so she ended up in an overpayment. So whenever we learned that she had to sell the home, she had collected thousands of dollars in overpayment that they said they would take back at $10 a month. Well, what happened instead was, well, instead of getting the money back from the time that they may have owed us because they made a mistake in March and we didn't discover the issue until December, I think, they swallowed all that back into the overpayment. So all the stuff that we're supposed to buy to improve her quality of life, it was negligible. And what I wonder through all this is, wow, what would have happened if I was never there? How do people navigate this stupid system without support? How do we ensure people get help? Because I know for a fact this has killed people. The loss of SSI in some states is a loss of your health insurance. That's horrific because you got an extra payment and you didn't know what to do, or because a lot of these people have intellectual deficits and such. It's horrendous. What do people do without help? They get their SSI cut and they lose their property, they go on the streets and they... Stupid. Because of rules, policies, and procedures, we can fix today. We can fix them today. There's been attempts. The SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act or such, the SSI Reformation Act, dead. They all die. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to anyone. They all end up dead. And again, it's just people scribbling their name on paperwork. It's just people electronically signing documents on the computer. Somebody with a college degree, a 4-year degree, sits at a desk and they sign things away, following rules, policies, and procedures. But what happens to that individual is way worse, way way beyond paperwork. It's housing, it's healthcare, it's lives, it's your mental health, it's survival. But we have a disability system in the United States that does not give a damn. Let's be real. It does not care about you, me, anyone else. In fact, people always criticize the disability system as being too lenient. People get on the system without... No. People try over and over and over again to get on SSI, only be turned down, and they don't have access to the health care they need. They don't have access to the resources they need. They can't work, or they struggle every day. This is the richest country in the world, and here we are talking about our most vulnerable and how we take care of them. We can do better than this. I believe that, and I believe it's possible, and I believe it might be a little bit before it's possible right now, due to the political climate. But that doesn't mean we don't try. It's important to try. It's very important to try. So get out there and give it a shot. Write your legislature. Write someone. Let them know. Let them know this matters. This is lives. It's not individual decision makers, right? It's rules, policies, and procedures. We can change those. We can rewrite those, and we can make them better. It just takes a little bit of effort. Thank you all. I appreciate your time. And I hope that somehow this story isn't... our experience doesn't become meaningless. So, thank you all. You know what I'm most frustrated about? You know what bothers me the most? It's not just that after... You know, when we figured out, you tried to transfer it to me and then realized you couldn't. With that lawyer, do you remember that?
Yeah.
We went to a lawyer, tried to transfer it, realized we couldn't transfer it because it wasn't allowed. We went and did the right thing by telling them, right?
Yeah.
We told them that there was this house and Social Security wasn't aware that she moved, right? After doing all that, after selling it, after doing what we were supposed to, and we spent down the money to buy you a car, we bought you glasses, we bought you clothes, we bought you a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That after spending down our only resource, you didn't get your Social Security back because they made a mistake.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't talk to us.
And then we got a phone call and then says, I'm sorry, what is your case?
Yeah.
That's what makes me mad the most. It's upset.
Me too, because it took months. We had to sell the car. Everything, selling that house could have made your life better.
Yeah.
But now I have this junker, and we had a good car. We had it set up that things could have been better.
Yeah.
And now it got ruined.
Yeah.
And then after that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but after that, when they realized they made a mistake, the back pay for that, for a year, went back into the overpayment. They didn't give you the money back, even though you sold everything to survive.
That's what makes me mad and upset about it.
It wasn't fair. No, it wasn't fair.
It's not fair.
No, it's not. And I think I'm frustrated right now. Oh, sorry.
we have never met the person who makes the decision. And that's why they're making mistakes.
I just wish someone cared more. It feels like no one cared.
It's like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about me. It's me. And that hurts me.
Yeah.